Hello, I'm Toycat, and welcome back to the second channel geography video. This series we'll talk about geography and the world and stuff. And today I wanted to talk about the most important part of political geography, which is of course countries. And countries are something which never confuse anyone. I mean, there's definitely no confusion between fully recognized internationally countries and breakaway independent countries which aren't fully recognized, and countries which are definitely countries but they exist inside of larger countries. There's no confusion between any of those things, and so today I figured it'd be fun to go through and talk about the least country-like country. Which of course, if you're really being a pedant, you can argue, well, the easiest way to come up with the least country-like country is to say, well, say something that no one thinks is a country. Best kebab in Luton, as great as it is distinctly not a country, and so this is the least country-like country. They might have their own currency, which is of course poor quality meat wrapped in. They might have their own, cultural customs, such as giving you digestive issues the day after. But is that really a country? No. Best kebab is the least country on earth. However, that's kind of a cop-out, isn't it? So I figured we should go for countries which have some international recognition, which sadly, as of yet, best kebab does not. And let's talk about which of those countries is the least country-like. Because obviously we can talk about, like, well, Greenland isn't really a country. Well, it's a part of Denmark. We can talk about Western Sahara isn't really a country. Well, I mean, who that's a part of depends on who you ask. There are the clear contenders for not really a country, but if we use internationally recognized places, usually members of the UN state is the easiest way to do this, then we get a much better feel for what is definitely a country as far as the international community goes, but which shouldn't be considered a country. And the best and first example we can come to is the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates, which Emirates is very loosely can correspond to countries because they're ruled by an emir. They all have their own separate rulers that just have a federal body that links them together as a country. And if you look at in fact, the United Arab Emirates has wanted to expand and add more emirs. At one point, it was looking to add Qatar. At one point, it was looking to add Bahrain. Like the fact that, this is just a bunch of countries loosely confederating together kind of tells you that, like, yeah, is that really a country? The fact that if you look at the majority of this country, which is Abu Dhabi, and you can say that that has much less well-knownness than Dubai. In fact, most people would assume Dubai is a country. The way that people talk about this city, and indeed it is technically an emir. If you want to see its borders on a map, it looks like this. But like, yeah, despite the fact that like people know it much better as the individual emirs than the country, it is distinctly a country in the fact that it does have one consistent border control measure. Although actually during COVID, less so, I would say. But they have one consistent border control measure, at least for visas and the things like that. And they do have one shared military objective. And you can make some arguments that they really are together, despite the fact that, like, look at Dubai. I mean, actually, should we do a random street view in Dubai? So near the Burj Khalifa, here we go. So this is, if we do a random street view, you see that, like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like in Dubai. Whereas if we go to, just to be fun here, we go to Fujairah, which is definitely how you pronounce that. We'll just go all the way over the east here, shall we? I don't know if I'm going to be there. Let's find out. This is what it looks like over there. As you can see, it is, honestly, I guess you could make the argument this is just a suburb of Dubai to some great extent. Very, very incorrectly, by the way. It reminds me of Vegas more than anything else. I feel like I've walked down roads that look like this there. But anyway, you get the point that, like, it looks very different, doesn't it? Because, yeah, whole different set of systems going on there, because they do have a lot of autonomy. But is autonomy the only defining characteristic? Because if so, couldn't you make the great argument that Switzerland, which is perhaps the most autonomous granting country, is the one that truly does this? Not only does autonomy in Switzerland lead to things like language being different, je ne sais pas, in the, what did I just say? Some French over there, whereas ich bin ein Berliner over here, whereas, I don't know, grazie, pizza, please, over here, you know, like the fact that they've got different languages between the cantons, that's quirky enough by itself. The fact that they're all individually ruling themselves, so Zurich is a very big financial center, whereas, Geneva is much more socially blah, 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 whereas way down in the south, east and southwest, they've got very different priorities, whereas there are some cantons which exist of like 13,000 people that are just like, yeah, we believe in just like, the fact that they can have all these different values and effectively do most of that stuff by themselves, there are very few federal structures besides military, gives you the idea that Switzerland is maybe a great example of that. Although actually, if we're arguing Switzerland, couldn't we say the United States? I mean, when you look at the US, it has, depending on where you are, either you can have, Let's be honest, no one's read into the law itself, but there's a law about saying the word gay I've been hearing on the internet in one corner, and there's a universal basic income in the other. There is a corner where they have the ability to and they do use that ability to basically have agricultural screening, and where they're fully separated by thousands of miles from anyone else and really have lots of control over their own stuff. And then there's a corner where, I don't know, like lobsters are from. Isn't that crazy that the people are literally lobsters in this corner, and the people are literally not even the same ethnicity as the rest of the country over here. I guess lobsters aren't the same ethnicity as the rest of the country, if we're being honest. But you get the point that, like, the fact that there's so much self-ruling to have such different policies. If you're over in this state, you'll pay 13%. Percentage points, I should say, but 13% higher tax than if you're in this little place right here. Taxation is a pretty big one, at least in the eyes of Americans. So is the United States a good candidate for this? I would say maybe it is. We always say it's 50 republics in a trench coat. The fact that even I was shocked by this recently. Even extradition between states, like, you have to go through a process. It's not automatic that if you commit a crime in Montana, you can immediately be prosecuted despite being in Tennessee now. It's crazy that this is true. There's a lot of very weird things about how the US functions, and unless you're on some form of federal property, it's gonna lead to some interesting situations. However, again, the fact that there is federal property, the fact that it is a superpower, blah 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 blah, no one ever doubts like which country they're in when they're in the US, which is maybe a factor we could use. What about though Bosnia and Herzegovina? I think if we're gonna go for the argument that being split up into small pieces is one of this big things, is probably gonna lead you to Bosnia and Herzegovina being the least country-like country, and let me explain to you why. This, although you look at Bosnia and you see, this is a country which has been denied coastline. I mean, again, just look at what Croatia's done to them. I think we can never not point this out in a video. Just like, man, you get just this much coastline for your whole country, Bosnia. I'm sorry for you. But if you look at Bosnia and we ignore coastline as being a characteristic for countries to be defined by, you can look at them and you can say, yeah, this is a federation of federations. The green, the blue, and the yellow make up a federation, and then there's a republic, which is the red, and those two countries come together to make the federation of BiH, Bosnia and Herzegovina, or whatever. It's a very interesting thing. They have 3 presidents, one for each of the separate ethnic groups. There's always a Bosnian president, there's always a Croat president, there's always a Serbian president. They do some weird stuff together. Like, if you don't really have leaders and you don't really have like the fact that it federates so much, then can you really say that it's a fully, can you really say it's a country to begin with? And the answer is we kind of just all internationally say that it's a country because, yeah, the Serbian side on the east kind of want to be their own separate thing to the guys on the west. They had a big war, and the easiest solution was, what if we federate very heavily? And I actually think that has been working quite well for them. I assumed that over time it might degenerate back to where it was before, but if you look at modern day Bosnia, it's actually doing pretty well. In fact, over time, the federal structure which contains it all is slowly getting stronger, and they're starting to build more and more places that are kind of between two zones, and it's working well for them. It's very weird that as you cross arbitrary borders, places start to become like, like Banja Luka over here is an entirely different thing to Sanski Most over here. The capital being right on the edge of these different zones. It should be a whole nightmare, but the country actually works quite well. It shows that you can federate down so many layers and your country still just about works. Because, by the way, each of those cantons still then has its own independent little thing going on. It's very fascinating what's happening in Bosnia, and if we want to argue that being federated super strongly and being made up of lots of things is the thing, then this is the least country-like country, except, you know what? Shouldn't Greenland be the least country-like country? Because everyone recognizes Greenland as a country. In fact, if we go back to this map, you can see that Greenland is definitely a country, right? Asterisk. Except they're a part of Denmark. That's what everyone recognizes. That's why Greenland is blue on this map, despite having no data on this map. Because, this is the most interesting thing in the world to me. Like, for some reason, Google Maps sees Greenland as being a country. It has the full top-level thing where you can click in it and it's like, oh yeah, Greenland's an island nation located between the Arctic and Antarctic Oceans. And it's like, wait, so why does Google recognize that? If you go to pick another area, like, I don't know, if you pick a part of the UK, or you pick like, every time we go to this, we find out that actually Google kind of sees this. But okay, if we go to Curacao or Aruba, it's like, this is a Dutch Caribbean island. But instead of saying this is a Danish I guess it's not really Danish, but instead of saying it's a Denmark-owned island nation, it's just an island nation. It's so fascinating to me that Google sees Greenland as being its own country, but this is distinctly, or like at least being its own nation, not country. But if Greenland is its own nation, then why is it that their foreign minister gets demoted just for implying independence? I mean, I feel as though if you're an independent country, you're allowed to imply you're independent all you want. You know what? I'm implying independence from Best Kebab right now. You know what? The rest of Luton, and indeed the rest of the UK, this has gone on too long. We cannot stand by and let them, with their whole separate policies and their beliefs that, ooh, kebabs aren't good for every meal of the day. We can't let them rest on this anymore. We will secede from the nation, and we will be as independent as we like over here. You know, for all the promotion I give Best Kebab, they need to up their payments to the channel. And they don't even pay me. I have to pay them for the kebab still. What's going on there? Anyway, this is... I think we're talking about Greenland, right? Yeah, so Greenland. Clearly not a country, but also kind of a country. Is this a great place to go? Internationally recognized as part of a country, distinctly right, and so we could use that as our argument, but I don't like that argument either. So what about, you know, this isn't relevant to the map, but I just wanted to show this off at some point in some video. It's the most fascinating list of like, whatever, we'll find a way to incorporate it into a future video. It's just so interesting. Like, you know, are the Hebrides, the Kintyre, and the Isles of the Firth of Clyde, are they a part of Norway? Are they independent? Are they Scottish? You tell me, internet. Anyway, so I think the best example we can use, sorry to go this far into the video before telling you about it, because obviously the Vatican City would be the easiest example. Like, it's just a giant tax dodging scheme by an entire religion. It's not a country. In fact, but then we can look at this list and we can say, well, they're not internationally recognized, but like they are, even though they're not a UN member state, they are internationally recognized. So the Vatican City, I would solidly say, is the least country-like country, except if we're using international recognition, but not UN member states as our, our guide. If we say, if a lot of countries recognize you as a country, but you're clearly not, you can be on this list, then what state has less territory than the Vatican City, which, need I remind you, there's no parking spaces here, and it's less than 1 kilometer across. Oh, actually, just to update you from my video that is hopefully out as I upload this one, I wanna update my map, because I have this public list/map of all the countries I visited that includes states in America and Canada and Australia for some reason. Now it includes European subdivisions. I'm going to update this because this is what my map looks like now before updating with the 2 new countries I visited, and let me show you what it looks like afterwards. So I've now been to the Vatican City, and I've now been to San Marino, and we'll just quickly hit save on this one, shall we? I've now been to 48. Look how different the map looks. It is shocking, huh? Oh, you can... even when you zoom in, you still can't tell. But yeah, no, trust me when I say that I've been there. Why does Malta get a big green circle around it, but the Vatican City doesn't? But, oh, look at this, by the way. I think I've officially been to a quarter. No. I've been to a quarter -2. Sad. Anyway, with that said, this is a Toy Cat video, and we will use every opportunity to go off topic that we can. Which country which is internationally recognized, like the Vatican City, is even less of a country than Città del Vaticano? And funnily enough, it is to do with Italy, because I would say that if we're going to cheese it and do it this way, it has to be the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. So the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, also known as SMOM, or officially the Sovereign Military Hospitalia Order of St. John of Jerusalem, of Rhodes, and of Malta, also known as SMHOSJOJORAAMAOM, which is, which they often call it that. They've got a national anthem. They've got a motto: defense of the faith and assistance to the poor. Pretty solid stuff. They have diplomatic relations with 110 states, and they've even got a permanent population of free citizens. They don't have any territory, though. I wonder how do they have free citizens, then? As part of the bargain, only free men could be citizens there. Other Smomians were to be citizens of the country they lived in. So they've got free citizens, and they've got a budget of 1.5 billion euros. That's a per-person budget of 500 million. I don't have a budget that high. Hint, hint, Best Kebab. You're not funding me well enough. Anyway, with that said though, the interesting thing about this country is like it's clearly not a country, but like also like it's permanent observer. Also, it's got diplomatic relations with 110 countries, and also they did own territory. It's just they never stopped being sovereign when they didn't. If you're curious, if you look into their history, should we dive into this for you? Blah, 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 blah. History of St. John's. Did you know that they used to be on Malta? They had no territory till 1530. Then they figured they'd take possession of an island because that's just what people did. In fact, if you think that they're not a country, allow me to explain to you that they're so much of a European country that they even took part in colonialism. Yeah, you better believe that for a 14-year period, this non-country country, this distinctly not a country, was enough of a country that it managed to colonize 4 nations, including St. Martin, which if that's the north side of the island, right? So is that the Dutch side? Wait. Is that let's find this out right now. I should know this off by heart, but you know what? I'm not as much of a geography nerd as I claim to be. So that's the no, it's the French side. That's the sucky side. I'm sorry. The Dutch side is the cool side. That's the one with the airport beach. It was gonna be cool. They were gonna have like contributed to the world, but no, they just contributed more French people. Boo, sovereign military order of Malta. But also, as you can see, Santa Croix, which is, what are these places today? Saint Bartholomew, Saint Christophe, but like only most of that island. Let's find out what these islands are today. So this is now a part of Saint Bartholomew, which is a, you know, I should know better about what's in the like which country are we in? It's what? Okay, let's go to their website and find out what country this is. Well, are you gonna? Well, that wasn't very useful. Where are we? What is this? It was renamed in order of how many countries has this gone between? So it was first claimed by France in 1648. It was given to Sweden in exchange for trade rights in Gothenburg in 1784, and the Sweden founded the Swedish West India Company. Then, well, that's fun, isn't it? It's a part of France. I should have known that. Should have seen it coming with a name like Bartholomew. What is St. Croix now? You know, is that the U.S. Virgin Islands? Is it? There's no way that's true. Is that true? It looks like it. Is it? Oh, it is. Whoa, a part of American territory today used to be a part of this country. That's wacky, huh? Well, you know what? Anyway, so long story short here is that, like, what is happening in this country? What have I just learned right now? Anyway, so it lost its territory. It actually, interestingly enough, it could have had some still because in 1798, France took over Malta, and the order was really hoping they'd get Malta back. So much so, in fact, that they turned down a request from the Swedish government. They're like, hey, here is an island, so you can still have some territory. And they were like, no, if we give up our claim to Malta, we are done for. But then they didn't get Malta back, and they got expelled from the country. And so since 1808, they just haven't had territory. They've been a sovereign military order, but also they don't have territory. Does a country need territory, though? Or does it just need to have citizens and international law and recognition and a national anthem? I'm getting down with this one. Yeah, is this flag, which looks suspiciously like Denmark, but just properly centered, is this enough to be a country? Is a coat of arms enough? I mean, it's impossible to say for sure, and that's why, in my opinion, if you want to claim the least country-like country, this one will create a debate that goes on forever, because, you know, having territory shouldn't be a minimum, because did you know countries are going to lose their territory because of the level of sea rise? We know that at least a couple of nations are going to lose theirs. I think the most notable example is the Maldives. The Maldives is going to stop existing physically, but does that stop their government from having any authority? I mean, think about it right now. Does their government outside of their country, because they have international recognition, they do all sorts of things like, I don't know, issue statements about things, and I don't know, probably have opinions on whatever's happening in the world, and I don't know, shake hands with other leaders. When they're outside their country doing those things, does the fact that they rule land back home, wherever back home is, really change that? And if that land goes below water, therefore stopping to be land in the international sense, Does that stop them from being real? I would say no. I would say they're still a country, even if they're below water. And so just because a country has lost its territory, it's been illegally occupied by Napoleon, happens to the best of us, does that stop Malta from being real? Does that stop, sorry, the sovereign military order of Malta from being real? You want to say yes, especially after this many years. I mean, like, come on, guys, you've had 200 years to get your hands on some territory, but maybe it's just worked out to achieve its goal. Territory isn't useful. Why does it need to have subjects, you know? Like, does, you know, like, for Russia's aims in the world, does it matter that they rule the people of Perm? I didn't know there was a city called Perm in Russia till just now. That's a fun name. That's a, I hope, it's clearly not a temporary name, right? But anyway, with that said, long story short, before we go on any more tangents, what's the least country-like country? The ones that we can't even agree are countries. And yeah, I hope that you'll enjoy this video. If you do support it, and you support my quest to make the sovereign military order of Best Kebab in Luton, then make sure to, you know, they're not giving me any money directly, but you can buy me a kebab by going over to patreon.com. Wait, this isn't the link. If you want to see how much money I make, though, 170. Would you like to give me more money? Do you know what happens when you give me money? It goes solely into like things that aren't related to this channel. The quality of this channel remains poor, and I pocket the money as a second income source. And if you'd like to support that, make sure you go right now. By the way, do you want to see the saddest thing? IBX2Cat Best Kebab is gone. They had to get rid of it. Someone made a new one out here in Manchester, but the one that existed in New York, they deleted it because it's not a real establishment. That's lame. But at least we can say that the IBX2Cat... Is this a real establishment, do you think, or is this just someone's house? I think someone just turned their house into a Best Kebab. Well, you know what? This could be outdated Google Maps. They could be selling Best Kebabs out there, in which case we'll have a legal fight on our hands. And yeah, thank you to people who give me money for no good reason whatsoever. I appreciate it. And to everyone else, I don't know. Thank you for being here. This was a bad video. Honestly, no thank you. You made a bad decision being here. You should live with that. I'm jealous of this guy's house location. He lives so close to a tram. Yeah, you know what? Mr. IBX2Cat Best... Oh, wait. Is this a tram stop? Yeah, it is. You're on the Navy line. Oh, you're so close to the... You might be walking distance from the airport. I think I'm jealous of you, friend. I think I'm jealous of you. You can drive there in 6 minutes. You can just walk to the airport. I mean, like... Oh, I think that's the train station, actually. No, that's... Oh, wait. I guess from the train... Okay, you walk to Terminal 3. There you go. You have to walk over the runway, I think. Oh, no, that's the car park. Yeah, you could be at the Manchester Airport pub. Why is there a pub here? You know what? Sorry, this video needs to end. I'm just curious. I want to visit this sometime. There's just a pub at the airport in Manchester. I'll have to fly in just to see that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Yeah, if you didn't, then I'd say that's pretty expectable. Have a bad day. Bye.